Alright, I am back with another Destiny 2 video now that E3 has wrapped, and I'm kind of done with most of my reactions to that. I wrote some articles, I did some videos, but some pretty crazy things are happening in Destiny that kind of relate to past things I've talked about before. We are diving back into the conspiracy theories of the story of the season, which are looking increasingly less like conspiracy theories as time goes on. This is always kind of a weird one to do spoiler warnings for, but I guess this is like potential spoilers if these things pan out. So take that how you will. If you want to be 100% surprised and you are not kind of thinking along the same tracks as other people in terms of kind of a specific person acting shady, who I'm guessing you know from the thumbnail and possibly the title of this video, you can stop now. But I've already talked about this once, and now more stuff has happened that I want to go over and talk about where I think this is leading. I will be very surprised almost if it's not leading to this at this point. Okay. We are talking about Osiris acting incredibly shady for especially this season, but kind of going back to all the way to Season of the Hunt. The theory is that something happened around this time where the story about Osiris being in on the moon and going to the Ascendant Plane and losing Segura blowing herself up to save him, and then Osiris returning without his light, without a ghost. That was kind of the beginning of a certain point of him acting suspicious. The idea is that either he is kind of being influenced by Savathun, or he is literally Savathun in Osiris's body, and Osiris is either dead or trapped somewhere where we can't get to him, and this is not the real Osiris. And the second half of that is something that I think is like 90% confirmed as of this week, but we'll kind of go into it. First of all, we'll just go through kind of in order what we've talked about so far. So Osiris shows up in Season of the Hunt to be saved by Crow. I think that could have been set up by Savathun. It makes sense that Savathun would take a special interest in Crow because he is Uldren, or he used to be Uldren, brother of Marasav, the queen, who is like kind of the direct rival to Savathun, if anyone is. And he was previously possessed by Riven, so it would make sense that as a new powerful guardian, one that is also apparently directly communicating with the Travelers sometimes, that she would want to kind of get close to him, and obviously Crow kind of use Osiris as a mentor, in addition to us, I guess, but that's, you can read into that as much as you want, and that's probably like the loosest interpretation of this. So, the Chosen, things get a little weirder. So Osiris, despite previously being in exile, is kind of promoted to become an advisor to Zavala in the Vanguard, a position that is a little surprising for him, but I feel like everyone kind of felt bad for him because he lost his light, didn't have anything to do, and he was sad. So they promoted him. There was an attempt on Zavala's life over the course of this season. You can say that this is due to a rogue faction of Scions trying to kill him for revenge for past things, like all the Almighty sisters that we killed. Possible, but it's not unreasonable to think that Savathun could have had a hand in it, possibly working through Osiris, but that is not confirmed. What did actually happen is Osiris takes a very, very strong interest in the Crown of Sorrow that is stuck on the presage that Callus brought there, a ridiculously powerful, dangerous object of the darkness that Osiris is like, yeah, we should probably take this back, like, with us. And everyone's like, really? Should we? And he's got a really good rapport with Keitel, and it's just, things start getting a little weird there. But then we get to Season of the Splicer, and things are becoming deeply uncomfortable. Like, first of all, it is pretty unusual to have a character that is not really the main focus of any of these seasons be present in all of these seasons. Like, Osiris has had a very major role in 3 seasons in a row now, which is not usually something that ever happens. Even Crow, with all the focus on Crow's not really in this season, but Osiris still is. And now we are starting to see very kind of strange things with him. In previous weeks, we saw Osiris kind of cut in, I think this was last week, where Mithrax is like, hey, we'll investigate this, like, weird Vex future-seeing device Lakshmi has. Like, we should probably take a look at that. And Osiris is like, no, don't bother. Like, the Black Armory's doing it. The idea being that Lakshmi is actually being kind of influenced and corrupted by a message from Curia. I'm never going to pronounce this right. Curia embedded in this kind of device, and we believe that she may be being kind of influenced to raise hell and raise civil war within the Vanguard. There's also the note that Lakshmi, in explaining her kind of coup plans to her fellow faction leaders, she mentions that she has someone in a position of influence on the inside that can help the transition go smoothly. Do not know who else that would be describing other than Osiris, especially when in the same lore page she's describing as wanting to put Saint in charge of everything. Osiris and Saint would obviously have a good relationship, and Saint would probably do whatever Osiris said. So I believe, he's kind of implicated in that as well. And then we get to this week, and things continue to get exceedingly weird. So if in like just the general mission stuff, Osiris is like, giving you kind of normal instructions for the mission, but after the mission, you talk to Mithrax, and then suddenly Osiris cuts in on the channel, and he's like, yeah, I think we should do this. And Mithrax is like, you have access to this channel? Like, what's that about? Okay. And then Osiris goes on to explain that he's like, yeah, I'm really looking forward to capturing Curia. And Mithrax is like, I'm sorry, capturing Curia? You don't want to, like, destroy Curia, the super dangerous Vex Mind? And Osiris is like, think about all the things we could learn from Curia. Like, there's so much potential there. And Mithrax is like, okay, I'll trust you guys if you think you can do that, but okay. So that's pretty weird in and of itself. And then we get a scene with Ikora where Ikora is just like fed up with Lakshmi. And then kind of out of nowhere, Ikora has this line about how she is entrusting all the hidden records and like database access to no one but Osiris, because she can't trust anybody else. And that sure seems like a pretty random thing for Bungie to just put in the game when they could have just not said anything. So giving over full control over whatever the Vanguard has access to seems like it could be a bad idea when it's someone who is acting very suspicious. But then finally, to cap it all off, we have the lore page from this week. And I know, people hate when Destiny hides things in the lore, but I don't really know how else they would have illustrated this unless it wasn't a lore page. Because even in like a motion cutscene or something, you would have been able to like 100% see who this was. The lore page is describing Savathun as taking on the form of someone in the tower. She has a human form that is like kind of falling apart to the point where like she randomly has to like stop and spit up black taken goo because this is like not exactly an ideal form for her, but she says things that again point to a very specific person she might be posing as. So we have, let's see. I walk through the city on broken legs. This is the entry called Ripe. I walk through the city on broken legs. I am conspicuous, but the people here grant me many affordances. Okay, so conspicuous. She's not going to be a generic tower NPC, I don't think. And Osiris is walking around with his bird helmet and his like sun bracers or whatever those are, and is one of the most famous guardians on the planet or like in history. That's pretty conspicuous. People here grant him many affordances. That would be someone, who's both in a position of respect, like Osiris, and someone who suffered a recent loss of Segura, and everyone's kind of treating them with kid gloves. That is Osiris. And then she says, when they first reach for me, I reach back in acid mockery. They open themselves to me in stupid, naked innocence. I was giddy. My fingers raked their minds. I forced my will through them using only words and met no resistance. Their naivete was beyond description, and I feasted until my eyes welled with black tears. That's kind of the most relevant part. Like there's nothing else in the description other than like her body falling apart, essentially. But again, this is someone who sounds like they are in a position of influence, someone who is constantly giving advice that people are taking. And like this pretty much just points to Osiris. I think there are other, there's other potentials. Like it could be Lakshmi because she's stirring up so much trouble. But the fact that this person he keeps talking about this form of flesh and vomiting, and like it's not an exo. So it's not Saint, it's not Lakshmi. And then I guess it could be Ikora, but like again, we have no other signs of her being Savathun. Like when we have this giant list of evidence of all of these shady things Osiris has been doing and has been interested in over the course of the past 3 seasons, and how this is all kind of perfectly poised for Osiris as Savathun to be kind of enacting a civil war between the factions in the Vanguard, and also being close enough to like have us hand him the Crown of Sorrow or capture Curia instead of killing Curia, which is Savathun's pet. a lot of different things that Savathun could be doing under the guise of Osiris. I just don't know what the alternative answer would be here at this point. Like, there are no clues stacking up for any other character to possibly be Savathun. Like, as of this week, it is a fact that Savathun is in the tower posing as someone. So I've quoted the, Among Us, there is an imposter among us meme, because it's, it's true. And it's got to be someone we know. And if you go through the clues, and if you listen to the last 3 months of story, especially the last few weeks of story, like, Osiris is acting shady beyond belief. And my question is not really, at this point, whether or not it is Osiris, it's when this is going to be revealed. Whether we will kind of know the answer to this by the end of this season, or if this is going to continue all next season and not be revealed till the very end of the next season, leading into the Witch Queen, which would be a long time to keep getting clues, because like we're kind of going beyond red flags here. These are like blaring alarm bells that like Osiris is acting ridiculously shady, and all of this kind of adds up to Savathun having infiltrated him probably at least since Season of the Hunt. I guess it could be later, but that seems like the breaking point where I don't think Savathun would be able to possess a guardian. Like, I don't think that's actually physically possible with the light and stuff. So I think she had to wait until he was mortal and had a mortal form. So maybe she did kill Sagira, and then that's when she did it. But that would also rule out a ton of other people, because I mean, how many humans are even in the tower? Like, there's not. I mean, that are known characters. It's like Hawthorne, Amanda Holiday, I don't think is a guardian. There's not very many, is the point. So I do think that all signs kind of point to him, and every single week I'm just looking for new clues and new hints, and like, I don't know if there is some sort of grand reveal planned mid-season, at the end of the season, beginning of next season, who knows. But it is impossible to escape these clues. And again, I am not reading any data mining. I do not have anything confirmed, but like, each week this goes on with new things that happen. It is very impossible to kind of come to any other conclusion, if you ask me. I know I'm wrong about a lot of things. I know Shahan didn't turn out to be Aldrin, and yet I'm very confident in this one, and I guess we will see. But this is what I'm staying tuned to every week, and we'll see if there's something to report on with the Osiris Watch each and every week here. But things aren't great and are getting worse, and something bad is coming for sure. So that's where we are. Evie's decided to start munching on some things. Maybe it's time to go. But thanks for watching, and I will see you guys later. Take care.